Random House Audio presents The 12 Tribes of Hattie by Ayana Mathis. Read for you by Adenrele Ojo with Bahni Turpin and Adam Lazarre-White. All of you came to me and said, "Let us send men ahead of us to explore the land for us, and bring back a report to us regarding the route by which we should go up and the cities we will come to." The plan seemed good to me, and I selected 12 of you, one from each tribe. Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verses 22 to 23. The house, shut up like a pocket watch, those tight hearts breathing inside. She could never invent them. Rita Dove, Obedience. Philadelphia and Jubilee, 1925. Philadelphia and Jubilee, August said when Hattie told him what she wanted to name their twins. "You can't give them babies no crazy names like that." Hattie's mother, if she were still alive, would have agreed with August. She would have said Hattie had chosen vulgar names, low and showy, she would have called them. But she was gone, and Hattie wanted to give her babies names that weren't already chiseled on a headstone in the family plots in Georgia. So she gave them names of promise and of hope, reaching forward names, not looking back ones. The twins were born in June during Hattie and August's first summer as husband and wife. They had rented a house on Wayne Street. It was small, but it was in a good neighborhood and was, August said, just an in the meanwhile house. "Until we buy a house of our own," Hattie said. "Till we sign on that dotted line," August agreed. At the end of June, robins beset the trees and roofs of Wayne Street. The neighborhood rang with birdsong. The twittering lulled the twins to sleep and put Hattie in such high spirits that she giggled all of the time. It rained every morning, but the afternoons were bright and the grass in Hattie and August's tiny square of lawn was green as the first day of the world. The ladies of the neighborhood did their baking early, and by noon the block smelled of the strawberry cakes they set on their windowsills to cool. The three of them, Hattie and her twins, dozed in the shade on the porch. The next summer, Philadelphia and Jubilee would be walking. They'd totter around the porch like sweet, bumbling old men. Hattie Shepherd looked down at her two babies in their Moses baskets. The twins were 7 months old. They breathed easier sitting upright, so she had them propped with small pillows. Only just now had they quieted. The night had been bad. Pneumonia could be cured, though not easily. Better that than mumps or influenza or pleurisy. Better pneumonia than cholera or scarlet fever. Hattie sat on the bathroom floor and leaned against the toilet with her legs stretched in front of her. The window was opaque with steam that condensed into droplets and ran down the panes and over the white wooden frames to pool in the dip in the tile behind the toilet. Hattie had been running the hot water for hours. August was half the night in the basement loading coal into the hot water heater. He had not wanted to leave Hattie and the babies to go to work. Well, but a day's work is a day's pay, and the coal bin was running low. Hattie reassured him. "The babies will be all right now the night's passed." The doctor had come around the day before and advised the steam cure. He'd prescribed a small dosage of ipecac and cautioned against backward country remedies like hot mustard poultices, though vapor rub was acceptable. He diluted the ipecac with a clear, oily liquid, gave Hattie 2 small droppers, and showed her how to hold the babies' tongues down with her finger so the medicine would flow into their throats. August paid $3 for the visit and set to making mustard poultices the minute the doctor was out the door. Pneumonia. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a siren wailed so keenly it could have been in front of the house. Hattie struggled up from her place on the floor to wipe a circle in the fogged bathroom window. Nothing but white row houses across the street, crammed together like teeth, and gray patches of ice on the sidewalk, and the saplings nearly dead in the frozen squares of dirt allotted to them. Here and there a light shone in an upstairs window. Some of the neighborhood men worked the docks like August. Some delivered milk or had postal routes. There were school teachers, too, and a slew of others about whom Hattie knew nothing. All over Philadelphia, the people rose in the crackling cold to stoke the furnaces in their basements. They were united in these hardships. A grainy dawn misted up from the bottom of the sky. Hattie closed her eyes and remembered the sunrises of her childhood. These visions were forever tugging at her. Her memories of Georgia grew more urgent and pressing with each day she lived in Philadelphia. Every morning of her girlhood, the work horn would sound in the bluing dawn over the fields and the houses and the black gum trees. From her bed, Hattie watched the field hands dragging down the road in front of her house. Always the laggards passed after the first horn. Pregnant women, the sick and lame, those too old for picking, those with babies strapped to their backs. The horn urged them forward like a lash. Solemn the road and solemn their faces. The breaking white fields waiting, the pickers spilling across those fields like locusts. Hattie's babies blinked at her weakly. She tickled each one under the chin. Soon it would be time to change the mustard poultices. Steam billowed from the hot water in the bathtub. She added another handful of eucalyptus. In Georgia, there was a eucalyptus tree in the wood across from Hattie's house, but the plant had been hard to come by in the Philadelphia winter. 3 days before, the baby's coughs had worsened. Hattie threw on her coat and went to the Penn Fruit to ask the grocer where she might find eucalyptus. She was sent to a house some blocks away. Hattie was new to Germantown, and she quickly got lost in the warren of streets. When she arrived at her destination, bruised from the cold, she paid a woman 15 cents for a bag of what she could have had for free in Georgia. "Well, you're just a little thing," the eucalyptus woman said. "How old are you, gal?" Hattie bristled at the question, but said that she was 17 and added, so the woman would not mistake her for another newly arrived Southern unfortunate, that she was married and her husband was training as an electrician and that they had just moved into a house on Wayne Street. "Well, that's nice, sugar. Where your people?" Hattie blinked quickly and swallowed hard. "Georgia, ma'am." "You don't have anybody up here?" "My sister, ma'am." She did not say that her mother had died a year earlier while Hattie was pregnant. The shock of her death and of being an orphan and a stranger in the North had driven Hattie's younger sister Pearl back to Georgia. Her older sister, Marion, had gone too, though she said she'd come back once she'd birthed her child in the winter past. Hattie did not know if she would. The woman regarded Hattie closely. "I'll come round with you now to look in on your little ones," she said. Hattie declined. She had been a fool, a silly girl too prideful to admit she needed looking in on. She went home by herself, clutching the bag of eucalyptus. The winter air was afire around her, burning her clean of everything but the will to make her children well. Her fingers froze into claws around the curled top of the brown paper bag. She burst into the house on Wayne Street with great clarity of mind. She felt she could see into her babies, through their skin and flesh, and deep into their rib cages to their weary lungs. Hattie moved Philadelphia and Jubilee closer to the tub. The additional handful of eucalyptus was too much. The babies squeezed their eyes shut against the menthol mist. Jubilee made a fist and raised her arm as if to rub her running eyes, but she was too weak, and her hand dropped back to her side. Hattie kneeled and kissed her little fist. She lifted her daughter's limp arm, light as a bird bone, and wiped her tears with her hand, as Jubilee would have done if she'd had the strength. They...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?